Welcome. Um, we're gonna do something a little different today, and for Spirit Class, I'm gonna talk straight from my heart and my intuition. This is Baby Yellow Butterfly, and forgive throwing my hair. My hair got its own energy, it's doing its own thing. Love it. So, what I want to talk about today is um I want to talk about all the spiritual stuff that's going on. I want to talk about how it's linked to everyone and everything, from friends and family to the government and shit like that. Um,
And we'll be sharing our personal experiences.
so first I'm going to start this off with spiritual warfare is here. It's loud and it's proud, and you see it in your everyday life. There's so much low vibrational things happening on this earth, in this realm, and it's disgusting. The amount of fear based people and fear based conversations, intimidation, it's all it's all disgusting. So basically there are dark things happening behind closed doors that nobody really wants to speak about. As in churches, as in
Charity organizations.
charity organizations, food drives, um, some neighbors, some friends.
People you call family.
Hmm.
That's biggest in the family.
There's a whole lot of witchcraft going on, as in spell work, incantations. Some of them even do voodoo.
And it's nothing wrong with voodoo, it's what you do with the voodoo. Your intentions are important.
So forgive me, I'm moving a little bit. I'm moving slow.
How about let's stop saying that? 'Cause honestly, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Um, We have been experiencing a lot of supernatural things going on, good and bad.
I'm glad you said that because I forgot about the good with I forgot about the good for a little bit. And it's okay to struggle to stay positive.
And it's starting to really irk my soul. Nobody nobody can get help during this pandemic.
Don't say nobody. That's not true. You can
You're
get
right.
help,
You're
but
right.
you have
You're right.
to know your laws. I know that we're living, a lot of us who are watching participating in this channel are probably in 5D and higher, but you also have to be mindful of to use the law, make the laws work for you.
So, um, like the first thing I want to bring up is the houseless community in Raleigh, downtown Raleigh, North Carolina.
But before, can we talk about our personal experience? Because that's really going to help drive it home.
Yeah. Okay.
And share your experience, and share the cycles that you broke and that you're breaking to discontinue that houseless cycle, because we're saying like it's just time to do some shadow work, you know what I mean? From a new narrative. So could you share about your experience being houseless, and then I'll share my experience, and then we'll get to how Raleigh, North Carolina has a high rate of houselessness, and how the programs are what they are.
So I'm gonna start my story from first first ever becoming houseless in the state of Oregon. And in the state of Oregon, I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's the state where they're not too fond
Kind
of
of lighter note.
African Americans. Yeah, of African Americans, they're very racist over there, and I was houseless over there for about 8 months, and
Can I ask you why?
I was houseless for 8 months because at the time the person I was in a relationship with, she was having my child, and correction, children. I was having twins, and she she got them killed. So
How did she get them killed?
by doing drugs and doing and shooting meth.
Can I say something? I learned something today. Do not judge a drug addict by their drug of choice. Actually, look at the actions they're taking to break the addiction cycle. They're actively doing, actively going about it, then great. That doesn't mean that you have open arms. You just have to let them follow their cycle. But the addiction cycle, it has relapse, clean time, relapse, clean time. And something told me to put that out there because a lot of light workers have and empaths have become heavy drug addicts, and the strong ones break the cycle. And when I discussed with the lady today that when someone is in the process of breaking any addiction, I have an addiction of stones, they are going to be tested and tried. It's like right when you feel I'm ready to walk, step away from this unhealthy devil-like obsession, um, tarot card reference. It's when you seem to get I need it. You know what I mean? So I lost my black tourmaline today, and I experienced that. So that piggybacking what you said, you lost some beautiful angels due to someone. We don't know if she was a, I don't believe she was a light worker, but someone who let a meth addiction drive her to the brink of whatever.
And I traveled the whole world looking for her before I found out that like I was houseless in San Francisco for 7 days. I was houseless in the Oregon State in the city of. I walked all the way to Ashland, and that's where I stayed on the streets of for 6 to 8 months. And even all my needs were met, there was still a large houseless community.
She wasn't experiencing what you were experiencing. Let's be
No,
honest.
they weren't experiencing exactly what I was experiencing, and they all have their different stories. Um,
Heck, it was much harder for them than it was for you. Not saying discounting what you're saying, but you had a completely different experience from the average person who is houseless and homeless.
yes, I have.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Not at all. In fact, I find that completely like normal. Just wanted to put that out there.
Good, I'm glad.
Everybody's experience is different. But your experience was like if you actually one day write a book about your experiences being houseless, someone would feel like you are like you're just like painting a pretty picture, when in reality it was yours, because there's a lot of horror stories, and your experience is miraculous,
Um,
quite honestly.
and my stay in Ashland was was above the average. I was arrested on false pretenses and false accusations of home invasion.
And was it simply because you were seeking shelter?
Yes, it was simply because I was seeking shelter and it was freezing outside.
And I asked that because Someone who hasn't experienced that with a closed mind would say, well, you invaded a home? It sounds, and according to, I just want to verify, you went into a home that was considered abandoned, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And as I was staying there, almost every night, these people showed up and they found me in the abandoned building, an abandoned house, and I was telling them I was only here to charge my phone, which I kind of was at that time
No, you needed a roof
before.
over your head, but you also were. Let's be honest. We're doing shadow work here. You really needed a roof over your head, and it was freezing, and you were using wisdom so that you would would not get. Whoa. Okay. I want you to do shadow work. You said that because you thought it would save your ass, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's no reason to try to justify it. It is what it is. Learn from it.
So thank you. All right.
It's what it is.
So that's what I said. I was here charging my phone, and I'm going to leave. And they tell me, okay, leave. I'll let you charge your phone, but you have to leave after that. I said, okay. And within the same 10 minutes of that happening,
I'm gonna like this. Is that okay?
yeah, within the same 10 minutes of that happening, police ran into the house with guns pointed to my face. At that time, I had a full set of locks, and the description.
You look like an alien there, an African American alien with locks in a place that you said was brimming with
Yeah, with
brimming with
racism.
yeah.
And what I mean by racism, even the black community, some of the black people that lived in the community were portraying as Caucasians because they were making money and they wore suits and ties and they were light skinned, so they were portraying as Caucasians, white. And the description that was given to them was African American with dreadlocks and a hoodie, because I had a hoodie on. And they reported that I broke into the house and that I stole things when there was nothing to steal. There was nothing in that house. So I got arrested, and I spent a month and a half in not prison, in jail. I had the green jumpsuit. So I didn't go to state prison. And when I got out, I told before I got out, when I was, excuse me, getting when I was getting arrested and all the guns pointing in my face, I was telling them I'm just here to charge my phone. The gentleman told me it was okay, and I'm getting ready to leave. And they didn't care. This is 2019.
Can I ask you something?
What's up?
What did you learn from that experience? That's just one of your experiences. Your first time being house in a different part of the world. What did you learn from that experience?
I learned that it is difficult and very stressful to strive. And at that time, while I was homeless in Ashland, houseless in Ashland, forgive me, correction, I had no social security card and I had no ID. That, that was that was the first time I found out that life can be very difficult. Um, After that, I got out and I went to Subway to again charge my phone. And the cop that arrested me saw me and sitting down, and he walked up to me. He sat down at the table, and he said, "I'm so sorry for arresting you. We didn't want to do that. We got the call. The description was was um what is it called? Minimum, um, not discreet, but discreet at the same time.
I don't know.
To like a certain a certain look, a certain way. Basically, like I'm a I'm a nigga with dreadlocks and a hoodie, and I'm doing what niggas do.
But also, can I ask you something? Because we're evolving and having and looking at from a higher perspective. What did you really learn? Because if you get really deep house, if you had a place to stay,
Yes, it's true.
and also you learned that you needed to delve into using resources, because that had nothing to do with racism. You could get free. You also learned you have to learn to utilize resources.
No, it had everything to do with racism because I utilize
No,
resources.
no, I'm not saying looking at it from a higher perspective. When I ask what you learned, we're breaking cycles, and that means we're being honest with ourselves. Because what I noticed is, you said you were 25. I mean, you told me about being 25. You're in a different mindset then. You had just left from living a lifestyle completely different from whatever you were experiencing, and this was a wake up call to you about how you have to need to be self sufficient in the world. You learn to take steps to become self sufficient. I'm not so shallow. It doesn't make you feel bad. Just,
No, I don't feel bad. You're actually pointing out
well, yeah, because
good
that was
things.
before you had experienced this particular experience. You said to me you were spoiled.
Yes, I was.
And also, you had been supported to go make sure your children were safe. You've
Yes,
been
I was.
supported financially. So when you got and hit this new terrain of experience, it was scary for you. And if you were by yourself, you didn't have the support system you had. So just imagine a teenager running away from home, expecting the world to be whatever they saw in the movies, and all of a sudden, it's not like that, and reality hits them, and they're being forced to do things they've never done before. They're being forced to have compassion for themselves and realize I don't exactly understand what it means to grow up, but I know if I don't grow up right now, I might not make it. If I don't have faith that I can get through this, I might give up. Something to think about. And I know that you have, maybe you should just like keep the story short. So you have a whole lot of stories you can tell. So I said to write a book. But for this one, if you want to wrap it up with the interaction with the officer, I'm asking you to just be honest with yourself about what you truly learn about yourself. It's not about
Okay.
racism
You're right.
because there's racism here where we stay at. You know, we've overcome challenges because we had to look deeper than ourselves.
You're right.
Dig deep. Shadow work is my expertise. You know.
All right. I know. Okay. Then all right. So we're gonna redo this. So I became houseless March 2019 to November.
Damn, this is a sloppy road.
There's two different things on there.
Don't you stay focused.
Um so
And stick with one story.
I'm gonna stick to the root of what I learned. And before I came houseless, I was adopted and I grew up spoiled. Now I used to smoke every day. I used to drink every day. I used to live my life like a party, like a moving party bus. And then I met this person who was supposed to have kids. Sadly, it didn't turn out that way. So I went to go. Oh, I went around the world to the West Coast from the East Coast to find her and my kids. And I couldn't. So, so
Keep going. I'm just expressing myself
so
like you should.
what I learned on the way, I had good days, I had bad days. I made some I made some quick cash. I've had sleepless nights. I didn't eat. I have nights where I didn't eat. I slept outside, um, behind dumpsters and things like that. And what I learned is the true path of who I am today. And I found out that I was spiritual. I started my spirit journey, and I've had hardships. I've had good times, and I've had bad times on that journey. And that journey has bring me to where I am today. Um, After that,
You got text there.
I got saved by my brother,
Can I interrupt? I'm seeing a cycle of, or not even of, but when I say cycle, it's something negative. I'm just getting that you learn about independence in an abrupt manner that the average individual doesn't experience. The average individual experiences independence less traumatic. Let's be quite honest. And you, um, this was a wake up call to you, but it was so abrupt about how it happened and came about that it was just like, God damn, you know what I mean? It's like you got, it's like a winter day and someone throws cold water in your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I'm proud of you because you stepped up to the occasion. Something you said your brother saved you. I'm not even going to say that your brother saved you. Because I feel that the more you get in tune with who you truly are, it won't even be someone save me from this particular situation. You told me you found yourself by losing who you thought you once were.
Yes, that is true. That is 100% true. I lost myself in Ashland and I found myself.
Do you mind if I go into your psyche just a little bit?
Go ahead.
I feel you lost your old self, the one who was the social butterfly, to find out who you truly were, which is an adventurer, a survivor, someone who has the capability of being stable, but you learned it through such traumatic experiences. It's like, for example, I'm pretty sure the average parent doesn't want their child finding out about becoming independent through being houseless, right? But that was your reality. And the cycle I'm seeing is not, I feel that you're very harsh on yourself.
I am very harsh on myself.
So much to the point that you looked at it as I should have been able to survive out here. But you didn't have the skill set, so you learned it. You learned it the hard way. And I'm also aware that others have judged you based off, well, that's not my experience. My experience is much more easier, you know? And maybe you just did something you shouldn't have done. You know, I get the feeling that people have judged you so harshly because you seem like such the most easiest going contemplative individual that one can meet. But when you share your story, and if they haven't experienced it, if they have a closed mind, they've made you feel as if, so you're irresponsible, enough to be homeless, right? When in reality, you learn the importance and the art of appreciation for building stability. You learn that stability goes beyond materialism. And who says that, well, even the people think that people who can manage, but then, there's different aspects that you can be responsible, which is beautiful and it's very much a knowledge, but there's so many aspects that you can be responsible. And I believe the biggest cycle that you have to learn was to put yourself first, because you told me that there was a big history of you people pleasing, and that's a symptom of codependency. And I understand it because I used to be the biggest people pleaser you'd ever meet. But codependency stems from unhealthy familiar relationships.
I wasn't people pleaser.
Well, what I told you, majority of the people living in this room are people pleasers, but a lot of them don't break that cycle. So if you can get basically, what did you truly learn about yourself? And I don't care if someone says, well, you should have learned how to do this. They're not taking the time to go within because there's no.
I learned that I'm a warrior. I learned that I'm a survivor. I learned that if you feed me to the wolves, I will come back leading you back.
You do it in your own unique way.
Yes, I do.
And what can one take from that, I'm seeing, is that no matter how dire the circumstances are, you have to do whatever you need to do internally to transform that pain into something beautiful, because that pain can almost break you and kill you. But if you choose to die, that's on you. And if you choose to live, it's not gonna be the most, it's not gonna be like a Disney movie. It's gonna be whatever you make it to be. So you haven't really talked about this, have you?
No, I really haven't.
I can tell. It's okay. Now let's go into the sexes and I want you to be mindful of how you construct your wording. Not by saying, let me make it sound good, but I want you to be mindful of the narrative you speak. I want you to speak it from a higher perspective.
Which one? How I got out the house was this time? Or the second half was the first time?
Well, the second time, because basically, if we stayed on the first one, it would seem like a loop of, well, it's other people's problem. And I get it, but you haven't really talked about it. So just talk about the second one and be mindful to keep it short, but also change the narrative to a higher perspective.
The second time, I confided in those closest to me at the time. And I got
You too?
yeah. And I confided into those closest to me at the time.
Damn, thank God we don't smell.
And I got I got back on my feet. I got my ID back. I got a new one. I was working. And what I learned, people pleasing and the people that you please are not receiving the pleasing anymore, they can become very shady.
Or they show their true colors. I
Mhm.
mean, they always told you who they were, but you really want
They
to.
show their true colors. That's the right phrase for it. Thank you.
And you had to learn and you're still learning acceptance that people's true colors can be very, very heartbreaking. See, that's a higher perspective, right?
It is. And when I saw their true colors,
And I want you to focus more on you, not their actions. I want you to focus on your development. What did you learn about yourself?
to trust my instincts, to trust my gut.
Also, you learned that you had poor boundaries with them, right?
Yes. Which is referring to my intuition and my gut and my instinct.
And your faith strengthened because you learned to trust in something higher than what your ego was telling you and the belief systems that you have, right?
Yes.
I believe for now, let's stop it there because I want you to get into it more when you've done a little bit more shadow work, because I see you haven't really talked about this too much. And I can see you're starting to identify cycles that you have that have contributed to you not being able to feel secure in your own life. How do you feel after sharing this experience and receiving these new perspectives on your experience?
I honestly feel naked.
How does that make you feel?
Nervous.
Do you know you're helping a lot of people with this honest truth?
Yes. I feel a little anxiety driven.
Because what if I told you half of Americans are concerned about keeping their homes? A lot of Americans are concerned about what will happen if they don't pass a bill to maintain housing. What if I told you that you're a beacon of strength because a lot of people's walls have broken down? They want to or not. The foundation of they want to do is no longer there. As much as they try to tell themselves that it's there, it really is not there. So what you're helping people is identify cycles that they do that can, even if it's not houselessness, that can get them into dangerous cycles that keep them from living their destiny. What if I told you that?
I'm very honored to help those. If my story can save families and people, I will tell it. I will tell it to the world.
Well, maybe it's time to start. But do me, make it before you share your story. Do your shadow work. Open up to yourself Open up to God, your higher power. Open up to your ancestors that about this stuff, my story. And I want you to, if you hear a higher perspective that I can do, share with me because I need that.
So, Lord, I thank you for I love when you share it. When you share it. When you have when you talk to me like this.
So you're identifying cycles that let's look outside the realm of houselessness and homelessness. You're identifying cycles that keep you in a rut. And I wrote up here, it's okay if you struggle to stay positive or a work in progress. Feel your potential, miss your old self, have some bad habits, color outside the lines, feel exhausted today, haven't let it go yet, are overthinking it, wonder why you're you, rush through moments and feel lost and confused. Where you're at is healthy because if you were to just keep playing that same narrative in your head, let's say we became houseless again. I'm not saying it's going to happen because it's not going to happen again. We would have to identify cycles within ourselves, and that's going to be the hardest part of this journey because with the spiritual warfare going on, you're going to have to be able to identify it. We won't be able to blame, well, COVID and my job and the landlord. What is it that we're doing ourselves that we did not is hurting us? And that's what a lot of people get mixed up about shadow work. They think, oh, well, that means I'm a bad person. It's not bad. Just take that word out of vocabulary. It's just simply saying, these are things that I need help working on. And I'm having a hard time admitting it. And really, a lot of people have a hard time admitting it is because the world they live in has shamed them, has tried to tell them to be a perfectionist, erosion of perfectionism, and fully embrace and embody my wild and tame side unapologetically, encouraging others to do the same. Because that pressure of trying to go against what your soul is asking of you hurts you in the end. So I'm proud of you for acknowledging patterns that you were not aware of before. That's a big step.
Like I'll acknowledge one of my patterns right now. I'm so used to, and this is me, chasing like a dog chasing its tail in a circle. I'm so used to talking about what has happened to me
Same.
instead of talking about
What you learned from
what has, you know,
how you
what has happened for me.
Ah, that's big. And the fact that you said that out loud, you realize how what you were doing isn't as bad as what it sounded like in your head.
No, no. As in, for example, what was happening for me was I was becoming my higher self. I was becoming a man. Then I was becoming more than a man. Being able to be blessed with the um the knowledge of keeping a roof over your head, and of not only like the physical, not only the physical, but the emotional. Not only the emotional,
The feeling that when you truly share your story in depth, after you like do shadow work, you're going to see how empowering your story is. And you're going to realize there's nothing to be ashamed of at all. Who hasn't done something that, that is considered, huh? I wouldn't do that. Because the truth is, everyone has done it. People are doing it right now. And there's nothing wrong with it. And it's okay if you feel like you're stuck in a loop. You have the power to face those, to say, hey, I have a cycle that's not serving me of wondering if my ex has lost his house yet. And that's one of my, I'm doing shadow work now. Okay. Um, yeah. I have a dangerous cycle of wondering people who have done me dirty are getting back everything that they have put out to me and to others, but mostly to me. And that right there is not serving me because I'm focusing on them and not me. So I'll get into my story. I've only been houseless once. I started out homeless because I didn't know who I was. And I got into my predicament because I did not know what self-love was. I didn't know how to do it. And I gave so much to others, and I wasn't kind and compassionate to myself to accept that I did not know how to set firm boundaries. I wasn't consistent in boundary setting and was so open and scared, quite honestly, and a people pleaser. But I did it because I wanted to be loved, but I didn't know that love came from within. I attracted low vibrational energy because I was in a low vibrational place. So when I fully committed to breaking the cycle of self-hate in the form of people pleasing and ignoring my own needs, I started getting a lot of pushback. And one of the cycles that I have is giving up, or so it seemed, maybe not anymore, but it was giving up when it got tough. Because I noticed that when you start to really dedicate yourself to your destiny, you're going to get a ton of pushback. If you're not getting pushback while breaking cycles, then that means I don't know what that means for you, but I know for me that meant I was still stuck in the same place. So when I had started to fully commit myself to breaking the cycle of self-hate and I wanted to learn unconditional self-love, I got so much pushback that I wanted to give up. I started pointing fingers at them and I started saying, and they did this to me, and I finally got it. It doesn't fucking matter. Because you can keep, I could list you list after list of how I have experience deceit. But then at the end of the day, I changed the narrative to what have I learned about myself? What have I learned that is going on in the world that I can pass this knowledge on to others? And a big thing I've learned is that some people will, or beings, will smile on your face and act like, oh yeah, we're cool, while they're all the while have deceptive motives, deception, and I learned about myself that deception really gets my blood boiling. So then I just play this chess game with them because I started noticing I was getting chess matches with people on a mental level. I mean, it had been happening for years, but it had increased to a dramatic level. And I was like, well, can I can keep this much around and still keep my sanity. And then I realized I don't need deception around me at all. So commitment to free myself of, yeah, it's always going to be like this: melancholy, lonely users. And I realized deep down inside, I didn't feel I was worthy of real friends, of a healthy relationship, of stability. I was afraid of people taking things from me because that's what I had experienced. And I have a habit of being pessimistic at moments. So when I became houseless, I learned that when you are dedicated to changing your life, and the pushback may not be the way you thought it would be, it will be in the way that the universe sees fit. He says something very important. Let me look at what has been done for me, not to me. And someone who I considered wealthy because I wanted to be wealthy. So I thought, let me get around wealth minded people. Let me ask them questions. Genuinely, I was very open. I wasn't using anyone. I just simply was saying, hey, I'm going to build stability for me and my daughter. And you have the discipline and the drive to get things done. And I want to know how you're doing it. I said this openly, there was no deception behind it. And she gave us 3 months to stay with her. And in that time, I was single mommy, I was working, and I was going about it in a way that did not serve me because I was not listening to my gut. I had played victim so long, saying, well, my family told me to do it this way and this way, or they're going to hurt me. And then I had to realize you're a grown ass woman. Ain't nobody can beat you down for not doing it that way. I was afraid of them talking about me if I did it differently. So I kept trying to do it the way others told me to do it. And I was afraid to do it my way because I knew I would get pushback because I could get results like that. But I didn't want to show that to people because I felt highly jealous. I felt high energy of jealousy and envy around me. And so I started standing up for myself. I started getting so much pushback. There was not black, but evil magic done against me and my daughter on a consistent basis. That when it was time, I had been doing a whole lot of shadow work around the clock. And I learned, do not overdo shadow work. You got to take breaks and just be. There's nothing wrong with just being and accepting that. This is where I'm at right now. And I'm still working on that because sometimes I feel like I need a new perspective. Let me change it. And then I'm like, okay, my spirit guides tell me, Spain, slow down, rest. You're overthinking it. So the young lady had been having a hard time attracting a mate as well as selling a house. She's a real estate agent. And I had been doing a whole lot of inner work. And I also had to learn that. And she invited me to go have dinner with her and the neighbor. And I was just like, no, I'm good, because I was working on a vision board. I was actively working on seeing into the future, the future I wanted to see. And at first I said, yeah, because that people pleasing me was like that knee jerk reaction. And that's totally normal if you have been people pleasing for years. But then something said, don't go. So I went and told her, hey, I'm just going to stay in. And she gave me this look and looked down at my vision board. And she went and left. I've been sitting on the bed all day working on my vision board. I had some time to myself, and because I've been single momming like crazy, and I was really drained because I wasn't learning to balance out my time and energy. And I didn't feel like I had a good support system around me to help me single mom. So when I had time to myself, I would basically sit all day working on something artistic all day in place, and cause irritability with my body. So I decided to get up and go out and get some fresh air. And because this individual is very intellectual and highly intelligent, I left clues out that I was outside. And, it was late, 11, and I just went walking. And when I locked the screen door, so no one could get in. And she has this, I don't know, she can tell if someone's there. So it was electronic, it was one of those smart ones. Also, she could barely sleep. She had insomnia, so I knew she knew I was there. I ran it a few times, and my intuition was like, she knows you're here. And that night I slept in my car. The next day, I had been asking to trust my intuition. My intuition said she's going to kick you and your daughter out. So I was like, no. I even did channeled writing to verify the message. Got it, and I was like, God damn. So the expectation I had of shifts changing, I had to release that I can't control how things go. I wrote an affirmation. I go with the flow of life. I release all controlling micromanaging habits that do not serve me, because I need that one. So that's one of my cycles. I can be very controlling and worrisome. And so I trusted my intuition, got my stuff for me and my daughter, and got any rent that I owe you, as soon as I get the money, I'm going to pay you. She's like, no, don't worry about it. I was like, actually, no, I insist on paying you. And she tried to act like she didn't know what was going on, but she was upset that I had, left before she could kick me and my daughter out, while I'm trying to make it look like we were unwelcome guests in that nature. So fast forward, I started, I slept in my car for about, asked my daughter's father to watch her, even though I knew that he would start planning and plotting to take her from me while I was building stability, while living in my car. And that's one of the things that I have to accept. I'm still working on accepting that it's not my fault that she's not with me. I made sure she has a secure roof over her head. I wasn't going to sleep in a car with me. And during this time of being houseless, my ex.
That's still stay. That's still stay to this day. Good mom.
My daughter's father went above and beyond with people that I grew up with, to get my daughter from me, and I have not been able to speak to my daughter going on some months. I didn't even get to speak to her on her second birthday, November 23rd, 2020. And that's hard for me. So I almost got human trafficked. I learned that I had to go and release a whole lot of childhood traumas. That was the toughest and roughest for me. And I had to learn to stop pointing fingers. And I also had to learn to accept others for who they are, which is something I'm still working on. I understand, my husband said something very important. Why is my family doing this? Why is my ex doing this? And he said, misery loves company.
And they do.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of job they have, what kind of car they drive.
And it doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter their position in life. If you really could go inside their head, you would see there's a lot of people who are lonely, going through it, and I remember what it was like to be that. So I go above and beyond for myself to experience fulfillment within. And so I just gave you like a briefing of it, and I've learned, so I'm still learning. But I'm learning the biggest lesson now is not to fear repeating that cycle. Because you want to know why? It's not going to happen again. You want to know why? Because I trust my God of choice. I trust my ancestors to help me. But I also know that getting honest with myself and admitting what makes me afraid of sleeping outside, of being raped, I've been raped before, things like that. It being cold. And it's okay for me to be afraid, but for me to act out of that fear, that's not good. So I can experience. I want to experience consistent housing that we call our home, and a peaceful environment, just me and my family, no one else. And because I can say it out loud, I have faith that it's going to happen, and my intuition gives me the steps to do it. And it's hard for me to follow my intuition sometimes. So, and also being houseless and pregnant, that it is a miracle that my baby is still here. I experienced a miscarriage with my first daughter, but she didn't die, and I had bled, and the doctors were like, "We don't know why you bled. That's weird." And then her heartbeat was so healthy and happy, and so I'm just amazed at the fact that I literally lost a kid. I lost a child, but she's not really dead. She's still here. You know what I mean? Like, she's basically, and it's like, I was like, okay, so I learned that miracles happen. Let something supernatural happen. I was in such an abusive relationship because I didn't know that I deserved better. That I lost my child, but then I didn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like my child died, but she didn't die. They
It's
couldn't.
like
Oh, go
that's
ahead.
kind of like what happened to me, except I was out of the womb and died.
I know. So, I went to see the doctor several times. I was under high stress a lot, and they didn't do anything. That's supernaturally God, and that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, God, because I'm really grateful how my oldest daughter is turning out. I know that when we reunite, it's going to be better than I can even imagine. I'm going to leave it at that. And piggybacking to like this pregnancy, it was so much straight from committing to loving myself unconditionally. I was going to get so much shit, man. And people were going to be like, I knew you would fail, and this is why I'm going to treat you like crap. And I had to accept that in them. So I stayed focused and moving forward. And it's like it's been a whole lot of stress, man. I do forgive myself first and foremost. And then I would say, then I'm able to forgive others. Finally, I'm learning to express myself because, like, how we got this house, and how if you want to talk about that, that's great. That can be another video. So I can join. But we work with a charitable organization, and the individual who helped us out, I'm not even going to say it. We're grateful for the part she played in because she has made us aware that it doesn't matter if you're receiving help, and this is something we have, I mean, experienced so much back to back, but if you're experiencing help from anyone, you do not need to accept being mistreated. You call them out on that shit.
That's 100% right.
And it does not matter if, well, I'm the one with the checkbook, so I'm writing everything. Excuse me? But you're going to come into my home and try to mistreat me? It don't work that way. When I help people, I don't help people to look what I did. Look at me, give me credit. No, if I help you, I help you. I'm not expecting anything from you. I'm not expecting you to bow down and kiss my ass. You're a goddess, I'm a goddess, you're a god. And whatever you are, be it. But I'm not going to sit here and kiss your ass. So,
Nobody should make anybody feel lesser than just because you pay bills or you have the checkbooks. Because at the end of the day, if there is no money, if you can be just like me, or just like the viewers watching.
you said something very important. You said the people you kick when they're down, you see them.
The people you see on the way.
So we treat everybody the same. You could be a fucking billionaire. And if you don't have common decency, I'm not going to kiss your ass. You're not going to kiss your ass.
That's true.
You can be with a poverty mindset. However you want to be treated, you better come accordingly.
Like I always say, if I was to see a celebrity, I wouldn't even be like, oh my God, look, it's Beyonce. I'd just be like, oh, look, it's Beyonce. So,
You know, this is motivation for me to keep going because all the struggle, or I'm going to take that word I'm okay with, all this, the obstacles that we, and is that in the face of adversity and obstacles, to look at it, how is this growing me? What is this doing for me?
Right.
What am I learning from this? Instead of, oh, the world is just beating me down and all this. Because at the end of the day, I see not anything that you can imagine. You are going to need to teach your children.
Bless you.
Thank you. You're going to need to teach your children to not give up.
Mm-hmm. Also, you're gonna need to teach your children that it is okay to make mistakes.
Mistakes are perfectly normal.
I made mistakes. I made a hell of a bunch of mistakes,
Nothing wrong with that either.
and I learned from it.
Teach your children that if you make, if you get into something that you're not sure how to get out of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, it's